big hello to everyone. So here we are discussing about how to achieve a holistic way of lifestyle. Because in this day and age, it's really important to be in our best frame of mind, physically, spiritually, because physical, mental, and spiritual well-being is very, very important. And there is Reiki and yoga to give you just that. And we're going to be talking to the experts today. We have Denzel O'Connell, we have Prashant, and we have Payal discussing just that. Denzel, I want to start with you. So, what is your story with Reiki? How have you transformed other people's lives and your life?
Okay, I'll always start with myself because I think that that's the closest to me. And right up till I think about the early 2000s, I was a wild guy, quite literally. I mean, if I were to look at myself, there is nothing that I've not done. And that's how I believed myself. I always wanted to do, I wanted to know everything. So there's actually nothing I've not done. So till the 2000s, of course. After that, times changed. So then I kind of think, and that's when I actually got. I was I've never been religious, but always been spiritual, and that's where I actually got into. A friend of mine said, "Why don't you come in for this Reiki meeting that we're having?" And I said, "What is Reiki?" And it so happened that that day I was in the vicinity of that place, and I believe now that nothing happens by chance. But then at that point in time, I said, "Oh, this is happening by chance," and I went in for this meeting, and after that, I did about 3 consecutive years in Reiki, and I think that is my final calling. I mean, yes, yoga and meditation is part and parcel of all of that. But I would say the largest take home that I have, if I were to look at it, would be the growing awareness of self, the growing awareness of what surrounds me, and that changes everything for you. So the minute you're aware and grow in your awareness, everything for you changes. For one, then everything
Right.
outside you changes, because the way you talk to the way you are with other people changes, and every circumstance or environment that you are in also change over time, because you lend that joy to that moment, you lend that peace to that moment. So automatically for you, even if there's hellfire going around you, and I've been in the media for about 20 years, so I've been up face to face with hellfire happening every single day, but it doesn't really affect you. So that's myself. As far as other people is concerned, okay, so I think that one of my big gifts are the fact that I understand the ministry of healing very well, and I understand the reason why people, over the years, of course, the reason why people get sick. Why do you get sick? It's not 90% of them, except for something that you're either born with or have a karmic disposition towards. Everything else is your body reacting to what is happening in your mind. So if you can handle your mind properly, if you can understand the reason for your sickness, that solves the reasoning for the sickness. And once a person understands the reasoning for the sickness, the healing is quite easy, because then they begin to fall into the path of, okay, I understand why I'm doing this. This is the reason for it. Now let's take it forward into the healing process. And I can guarantee you, I mean, and this is with over a good 15-20 years in this kind of medicine, I'd call it, because it is in healing energy. I'd say that I can guarantee you that you can get me anybody, and I can tell you what's wrong with it, and I can tell you why it's wrong more than what's wrong. So that's something
Wow.
that is my
Mhm.
ministry, and I believe that at this point in time where I stand today, I'm all ready to just share this with the world. That's it. There's absolutely nothing more.
That's lovely. Denzel will have to discuss some more on that. I'll come back to you. Prashant, so Denzel speaks about the mind. The mind has a very important aspect, to play where your health is concerned. And Prashant, I've seen that you talk about integrating the mind, the body, and the spirit, in your sessions. What is the difference between what Denzel is doing and what you are doing? That's Reiki and this is yoga. Is there some link between the two, or how would you define what you are doing exactly, Prashant?
So, Pooja, thanks for this opportunity to speak in this platform. So, well, see, yoga is not about physicality, first of all. First, that is the first thing we need to understand. The physical asanas, what we do, the physical conditioning we do, is only a part of all the other 8 limbs of yoga. So, yoga is more about clearing your consciousness. And what Denzel told, it again comes down to that consciousness.
Yes.
So if your consciousness is clear, and everything else becomes clear. So yoga helps you to clarify, first of all, your physicality, then your breathing, and then your mental state. So, and the 8 limbs of yoga, the path what has been given by Patanjali, he has clearly mentioned that you fix your social interaction by yama and niyamas, and then you come to asanas. That is, how you conduct socially. What is your lifestyle? What do you eat? What do how do you react to emotions? You first analyze that, and then you do asanas. Then physical conditioning is happening, and then you fix your breath. Breathing is a very, very important and part of yoga. So you breathe deeply, and you breathe. Long breaths you take. The longer your breath is, the longer you live. That's the beauty of pranayama. So you fix that, and then to the the other limbs of yoga, which says after physical conditioning, after your breath is fixed, and then you start stepping towards bringing the focus together. You bring your focus on one object or one something like you can start meditating from that point once your focus is coming to picture, and that focus, once it is set, then the meditation starts and dhyana starts, and then it goes to the samadhi level where you don't need to focus on one particular point. Everything becomes just clarified, and then you're just in connection with the cosmos or the universe. So what it tells is that is the clarity of mind, that is the clarity of your consciousness. So what Denzel told is definitely in line with the clarifying the consciousness. So the yoga part, where the asanas and pranayama, that also takes towards the clarifying of consciousness. And what Denzel told, it's a different path, slightly different path, but the goal is the same thing.
Right.
Reaching there and bringing that consciousness. And as Denzel rightly said, that it starts in the mind. It starts in the mind. So in yogic philosophy, there are different koshas we believe in. There are a human body is not just a human body. It has many layers to it. So in the yogic philosophy, there are 5 layers. So these are pancha koshas. So pancha is 5 koshas are there. Annamaya kosha is the body. What we have, the physical body, what we have, that's called as the annamaya kosha. And then comes the pranamaya kosha, where the prana exists. The breathing, how the breathing happens. And then comes the manomaya kosha, and then comes the vijnanamaya kosha, and then comes the anandamaya kosha. So manomaya kosha, which is there, that is where your mind exists. That is where your consciousness exists. And what happens in your consciousness has direct link. It is like a bridge between the other layers of your self. So, for example, as Denzel rightly said again, that if there is some problem, if there is some sickness, illness is there, so people don't realize the root cause of it. It would have started in their mind. The manomaya kosha, how we think, how we make our environment, what sense we make of of our environment, of our atmosphere around us, that determines ultimately where you'll end up with. So you see, simple thing is, if your mind has stress, you will take some wrong decisions. Because it will, without your knowledge, it will push you into making wrong decisions, and those wrong decisions will, compound your stress instead of relieving it. It compounds your stress. When there is more stress on your body, it has been proved that, your physical self also goes down. The immunity goes down. And when immunity goes down, you end up with, illnesses, sicknesses. And then people don't realize that, what having the root cause of it. So, but there is, even if somebody is sick, there is always a chance to come back. Where, again, come back to the manomaya kosha or the mind. You fix within the mind. And then you will start, the healing process starts again from there. You see?
Correct. So it's the mind where it has originated.
Exactly. So you fix your mind, you clarify your consciousness, and the stress reduces, and then you start feeling better again. That's the right healing process which should happen.
Correct. So Payal, have you experienced that as well? How has yoga transformed your life?
So for me, yoga, I've been practicing yoga for many years actually. So it's helped me physically a lot with physical strength, your strength building and your flexibility and everything. And it's helped me mentally a lot actually, which through my hard times in life. So if I would say, it has helped me a lot. Like I have come out of my comfort zone. So I've become a yoga teacher, which is the biggest thing to me. And I've been doing things which I never thought I would do, like doing a virtual session like this, holding virtual classes, which I never thought I would be doing, So it's taking away my fears in life. I've gained a lot of confidence in life because of that. So I think in the end, it's all about what you love the most is you cross your boundaries and just do what you love the most. It helps you every way in life. So that's what yoga has helped me with.
So you have found your purpose in life.
Yeah, I have. It's not about a yogic. It's not about the yoga way of. I have started living the way a yoga life. Actually, I don't realize it, but it's happening to me, and it's just the best part of my life, and I just enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really great.
I think so much.
I think, Pooja, that automatically once you get into yoga, and this is the power of yoga, I just put it down to that. The yogic way of life, that's the best. And you start to follow it automatically. It comes to you naturally.
You don't realize it, you don't realize it.
Don't realize.
Like people come and tell you, oh my God, you're so calm. But I can't believe it when people tell me I'm calm because I'm not a talkative person. So when I talk so much, it's like, I'm changing. I know I am changing. It's changed my life a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think there has never been a better time than this. People have self-isolated themselves and they have more time to practice all these kinds of methods. So Denzel, you talk a lot about breath, meditation, and is there any room for breath in Reiki? I mean, is that also a part of Reiki? How does it work, or is it more about energies? Can you just elaborate more on Reiki? Because we keep saying Reiki, 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 but for a layman, he doesn't know what exactly Reiki is.
Okay, I will, okay, the boundaries blur for me. That's a problem actually, because I do meditation, I do yoga, and I do Reiki. But just to take where Prashant was a while ago, and I would actually reverse that. I would say the breath comes first. However, I know there are two ways of looking at it, because to me, breath is energy. I mean, our life energy comes from our breath, and every single moment of it, that's where we're going. So if we are transmuting energy, say for instance, in the reference to healing, I'll give you an instance of how I used to heal before and how I heal now. So when I first started about it, I had no clue about yoga. I wasn't into the world of yoga. I was just doing Reiki, right? And a lot of times when I was sending healing to somebody, and this is just sending energy, you can send energy in any form, even um, with your hands. I used to hold my breath because it is a natural human instinct to hold your breath when you're concentrating on something. That's how your brain works. That's how you're programmed, right? But when I started to do yoga as well, I changed the way I did that. So I would actually flow with the breath towards whoever I was sending this healing energy to. And that has changed everything for me. I mean, I know that the power of that is much stronger today than it was ever before. And it's also the fact that, as you become, okay, I would put them down to about 8 or 10 life rules. And they are universal. They are the universal truths. So energy will flow out of you and into you. You just have to let it. That's the important thing. So Reiki is essentially sending energy, healing energy to somebody. But for instance, for that healing energy to go to somebody, you have to know why it's going to the person, and that person has to be receptive. If you are not listening to me, if you are just hearing me and not listening to me, I'm wasting my time. And therefore, whenever I send Reiki healing to somebody, or I send healing to somebody, or start a process with somebody, I will always ask him, do you believe what is going to happen to you? Because a lot of times I work with a lot of patients who have cancer. Okay. And cancer is the road where the doctor has dropped off that road. And he's saying, I can only stop it. I cannot heal it. Whereas the reason why that person has his cancer is because he's just holding on to anger and frustration and hurt just too tight, and it's become a part of him, and that has become the ball that is the cancer. So he has to believe that he needs to let that anger go in order to heal. That's an energy. He's not going to be able to do it otherwise. So the belief comes first. If I don't believe, I cannot move forward. It's very simple. So to create that belief in somebody is the first step, and then send the healing to that person. Because that person believes, he will get healed. I will quote from the Holy Scripture, which says that your faith has made you whole. I do nothing. It's your faith that makes you whole. Massive.
Beautiful, and that's what you're doing, Denzel.
Exactly. I'm just an instrument. I'm nothing. I don't want to be anything. I just want to create that awareness in you that you are able to do it for yourself.
Yes.
And that for me is the healing of it. And that's the ministry I'm closest to. It's my favorite if I were to choose it.
That's beautiful. And I think it heals you also in the process, isn't it?
It does.
I think it's
Yes. We are all works in progress. Huh?
absolutely. Yeah. So, Prashant, coming to you, Denzel speaks about energies and letting go of anger and other blocked emotions, and all these kinds of ailments. A lot about flexibility in yoga. It's flexibility eventually, but for a person who's just starting out, how long will it take for the person to achieve kind of flexibility that somebody like you and Payal have? Uh, how much one has to put in the effort, and how long does it take that flexibility?
Well, it depends on the practice. It depends on the practice and the right practice and the right techniques, one has to use. So, regular practice, like every single day, like how we get up in the morning and brush our teeth. That's how the yoga practice has to become. Every single day, dedicatedly, one has to give that, 1 hour to 1.5 hours of a day to regularly practice. So, and then their flexibility will definitely follow. But again, it depends on person to person. I cannot give one figure and say that, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or 1 year. No, I cannot say that. It depends on the person. So, and again, it again comes back to the mind. if your mind is flexible, your body gets flexible. You see,
True.
because you
Yes.
have the block in your mind, that if you're doing it with half mind, it won't happen. You have to get involved in it. So when I teach my students, the yoga asanas, so I tell them that I'm just guiding you right now to help you to understand the technique of the asana, the alignment of the asana, and what you need to do, and how long you should hold it, and how you need to breathe. So these are like instructions. These are like the guidelines. But the real practice happens when you yourself do it alone. When you do it without any disturbance, you pick up maybe 2 or 3 asanas. That's all. You practice that with full involvement. Your mind has to be fully in that, and then you practice. So if that's how you practice, definitely one can achieve the flexibility faster. So again, see, the flexibility is just something like again, of the physical body. But what really you achieve is the liberation. When you do an asana, even the simple Paschimottanasana, when you bend forward, hold your toes, you stay in that asana, you should feel absolutely comfortable, right from the simplest of the asana to the most complicated asana. You should feel absolutely in alignment with that asana, comfortable breathing, and that's when you find that liberating feeling. And that can be achieved only when you're involving your mind into it. And moreover, when you do any balancing asana, like you'll have to stand on your one leg, or you have to balance your whole body on your palm, on your wrist. Invariably, you'll have to apply your mind. Otherwise, you can't do it. You anyway cannot do it. Without applying your mind into it, you cannot do it. So, that mind involvement when it happens, because Hatha Yoga, so there are 2 meanings of Hatha Yoga. Hatha means like you are like zid, मैं zid se kar raha hu. That is like you are enforcing the discipline of yoga on you. So when you do that, so you'll have to invariably put your mind into it. So so that is one of the meaning of Hatha Yoga. There is another meaning of Hatha Yoga is the Hatha means Ha is the Surya Nadi, and Ta Chandra Nadi, and then when both come together, it gives you that balance. So yoga is all about balance. So that's a beautiful meaning. So like that. So one should think about flexibility, but there is much more than flexibility. So I think the goal should not just be the flexibility, is what I say.
Right. So Payal, what do you think should be the goal? What do you think is the future of yoga? And do you see us 5 years from now? Do you see yourself still doing this?
See, people have been practicing yoga for years, and people have always loved the practice. Even during these hard times, these difficult times, there is virtual yoga happening, and still people find a lot of benefits to it. So the challenge as a yoga teacher would be like, be at your practice. Self-practice is so important. Knowing your body is so important. Well-read. It's very important. All those things count a lot. But these days when you see, there are a lot of teachers who you just become a teacher. You do a teacher training and you're a teacher in a month. The root of yoga is not there in it. They just finish a month of yoga and they are teaching.